All right, so welcome back. Happy Saturday night, everybody. I missed Formal Friday. That's a thing now where people in quarantine are doing Formal Fridays.
Okay.
So I'm wearing a shirt
So
and a
cute.
vest. You would think
This
that I
is
never
nice.
wear this shirt by your reaction.
Yeah. Never.
The other thing is, though, when I got this in Vegas, it didn't fit around my neck. I had to undo the top button.
I don't think you've worn it since Vegas.
So
That's your
apparently
fault.
my neck was fat. Nobody told me my neck was. Although when you look in the old pictures, yeah, some old videos and
It's
pictures out there
cute.
that it wasn't cute back then.
It's nice.
It's like a golf ball on top of my shoulders. Furry, just here and not up here. Golf ball.
So
Just a
cute.
billiard ball on top and then just fuzzy around. It's like Mother Nature just said, screw it. I don't know. Let's have his hair fall out on his head and on his legs in weird patches. And we'll just leave the rest as it is because screw it. I don't get it. I used to wear, like, I've talked about how I used to work in meatpacking plant, and I used to wear rubber boots all the time, and now the line where the rubber boots were and down, no hair, and I always thought that would grow back after I quit wearing rubber boots, but it's just
It doesn't.
it's gone.
Your legs are so smooth. There.
But it's weird.
I know.
It's just this aging thing is stupid. I'm just gonna
Cute
throw that
though,
out there.
so there's that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
This is nice.
You're
This is a fun
okay.
Shannon
I'm gonna go put on a jersey. If you don't take about 20% off there, Squirrely Dan. Just relax.
This is nice.
Okay.
Fine.
All right. So we're approaching the end of the second book here. Nathan Helm pilots Terran Force One down towards the surface. It's a tricky maneuver to be sure. If they come in too steep, they risk burning up on re-entry. If they come in too shallow, they'll bounce off Earth's atmosphere and into towards deep space. It can be tough to regain control of a ship that gets flung out like that. The decision to take the risk stems from the medical team on board. Once it's determined that Arcology 1237 would become a base of operations for Earth Defense Forces, there had to be a medical team on board to take care of any casualties during battles that would take place. The medical team had dealt with a few bumps, bruises, and leg or arm breaks after the Altilian warship exploded, but they've been relatively well protected by their shields, armor, and some deft piloting by Nathan himself. Division 1237 was at the ready now, set to drop into the most devastated region. California had been the site of many natural disasters over the centuries, but this was on another level. The sheer totality of the destruction was reminiscent of nuclear wars of days gone by. They'd be going in using jets that were now affixed to the glass bottom of the Arcology, what used to be the observation deck. Holes had been drilled in the thick glass, and there was room to attach 5 jets capable of flight in space, or in situations like this on the planet itself. Craig Hicks is ready to pilot this fighter for the first time. Kristen Burns at his side, with room in the back of the jet for 10 survivors. It would be cramped, but these jets were designed for quick drop or rescue missions, though they never would have envisioned using them for something this massive. Craig's fighter drops first and roars to life. This thing's peppy, he says, more to himself than his co-pilot, as he brings it under control. Kristen shakes her head as she looks around. Where do we start? We start with wherever we see signs of life, he says, as he goes over information that the instrument panel's sending back to him. Life signs are out there, lots of them. Looks like we're going to be digging through this sludge. This is bad. And where do we start? She asks again. Craig moves in and hovers 10 feet above one spot in the disaster area and points down. We go down there. I can set this thing to hover while we go down and look, he says as he presses a series of buttons on the jet. The hatch opens. Once the jet agrees the air pressure is the same inside as it is outside to avoid a potential disaster. Craig then presses a button on the arm of his chair and it roars to life. Here goes everything, he says. And he uses the jet engines inside the chair itself to propel himself into the air, while Kristen does the same thing, exiting her side of the jet. The chairs are the latest in a string of attempts to create a suitable replacement for ejection technology. There's a great hope that these chairs will lead to an encased chair capable of flight on its own, and one which could sustain an explosion or direct fire from enemy targets. Think Jetsons. Along the same lines as Jetsons. Because the Jetsons was pretty smart. Simple ejection seat and parachute won't protect against further bombardment or prevent falling to the ground behind enemy lines. These chairs might do just that, and they can be used to transport people out of bad spots, precisely what the plan is here. Craig manages to pilot his down to a landing spot. They actually have legs that can be deployed so they sit on the ground, rather the same as a normal chair might do. Might look silly, but it's about functionality and not style. Craig gets to his feet and feels the ground beneath him. He knows it isn't an earthquake, but the rubble's still not that stable. He has a handheld device to consult on this matter. The rubble pile is 40 feet deep, he says with a sigh as Kristen joins him. All around them, there are 4 crews that are getting to work doing the same. Kristen reaches into her pocket and draws a firearm, which she's never believed she'd have to use like this. Simply called the Disintegrator 1.0, and it does what the name implies. It disintegrates anything it hits, a gun with 2 settings. On one, it'll break metal and turn it to stone and dust. On the other settings, it can turn people into dust. Once Kristen's made certain it's on the right setting and she won't be turning people into dust, she starts firing at the stones and metal around them. She has to be careful not to destabilize the rubble they're standing on or cause further cave-in of the ground beneath them. I'm surprised that thing works, Craig says as he pulls a gun of the same style from his pocket. I know they told us it would work, but they tell us a lot of things. You can be really negative, Hicks, Kristen says as she uses her weapon to burrow a hole in the rubble. You need to get out of your head. What does it even mean, get out of my head? I find that phrase baffling. Yeah, because you're stuck in your head. Craig starts shooting at the rubble as well. I wish there was a faster way of doing this. Kristen rolls her eyes. There is. Terran Force 1 has the firepower to turn this rubble to dust in a single moment, but there's no telling how many deaths that could cause, and it'd be reckless on a massive level. They are supposed to be arming civilians with weapons like this and sending them down here to help with recovery attempts. Craig nods. It just seems like we're going to be spending a lot of time shooting at pieces of steel and concrete while people suffocate down there. I think there has to be a faster way of doing this. Kristen looks skyward as if seeking his advice or guidance from a deity in her interactions with Craig. She then resumes her tunneling through the debris. There hasn't been a sign of life yet that she can see. You're letting yourself be defeated too easily by this. We were assaulted and only escaped thanks to our narcology being upgraded, combined with Nathan's piloting skill. The fact we're alive is a blessing in itself, and I'm using that to help others out here. A faster way to complete this could cause more deaths, and images of Terran Force 1 destroying whole city blocks would be excellent fodder for a media empire who wants nothing more than to see us fail. The conspiracy theories follow, and the only benefit we get is that it all happened faster. Point taken, Craig says towards Kristen. I can be reasonable. See? It's going to be a long day as the digging has just begun. Next scene. Ver tries not to be impressed by the peace restorer as Trake flies him towards it. He's heard rumblings about a project near Temp over the last few months, but there have been so many false rumors that he ignored this one and now wishes he hadn't. The cool blue color, the way the ship almost glows in space, its perfectly triangular shape, the ship being a dramatic improvement on anything else Valteri's had ever built. The ship is a sign that things might have shifted, but Ver knows that the enemy is still going to fail because they're not ruthless enough to win a war. He sees the fact he's still alive as proof of this. The fact that the pilot of this shuttle should want him dead and has largely ignored him this entire trip to the Peace Restorer. Odd name for a warship, Peace Restorer, especially since their world wasn't at war. There's always been a war, Trake says in a cold manner. He glares at Ver. If it were up to me, you'd be dead. Mike Translow doesn't see any value in your death, so you live. He has assured me that should your life become less valuable, he has no problem with me killing you. This is one performance I look forward to giving. Your kind are animals, Ver says with a snarl that seems to defy his precarious position here, his hands cuffed behind his back and his legs shackled to a chair. We're all animals, Ver. Some of us just more evolved than others, Trake responds as he pilots the shuttle into the docking bay. Why are the dock marks on the outside of this bay? Are there other ships in the fleet as large as this one? I don't know. You'll have to ask Mike about the defenses. I'm sure he'll be all too anxious to tell you everything. After all, you've been so helpful up until this point. You enslaved my kind, conquered Altair, and tried to exterminate mankind from the universe. Ver allows himself a chuckle. That hasn't ended, my friend. Mankind's extermination is a certainty. You should be grateful we let your kind live. Trake turns and grabs Ver by the throat. Grateful? Grateful to know my people were killed? Addison is down on Earth right now trying to clean up another mess your kind left behind. I'm the one who gets to bring you to Mike since Earthlings may not be ready to accept me yet. Thanks to the fact I came with your people, they worry I might be a double agent. Ver sighs. I love the Earthlings and their paranoia. Everyone's out to get them. It's almost too easy to get them to kill each other. Come on, Sunshine, Trake says, and he uses a key on this belt to free the shackles from the chair. Free the shackles from Ver, and then leads Ver out of the shuttle into the bay where Mike's ready and waiting for him. You must be the mighty Ver. You must be the idiot Mike Translow. Mike nods. Yeah, the idiot that blew the crap out of your warship. That's me. Come on, Chuckles, I have plans for you, he says. And he takes over the handling of the prisoner from Trake, who walks close behind. Mike looks back at him. Any problems? Only one. That I didn't kill him on the way here. Yeah, Trake, I explained that. I know as well as you do that Alto will kill everyone. Earth's watching us and watching them. Now that Sibel, that jackhole, is in charge, he'll try to convince them that... Who's in charge? Ver asks in shock. Sibel came out and told people he was in control. I guess he watched all of this on your version of TV, Mike answers. Ver curses in his native tongue for a few moments before he addresses Mike in English. Sibel was there. Where? Earth, you simpleton. Sibel was in the Colosseum and he managed to get out before being captured. Now he's lying to your people? And our people. I was going to be the leader when Gora died. That was my position. Mike is stunned and actually stops walking for a few moments, looking over at his prisoner. We're the animals, are we? You're the advanced species in the galaxy? You and Sibel are fighting to take over from Gora, but there's a problem here. I got Gora from the wreckage of that ship. He's not dead, he's our prisoner. There's silence between Ver and Mike, so Trake interrupts the confrontation. So, who gets to make the next chess move here? Ver gets to choose, Mike says, but neither of them move. I'm in shackles. I don't see what I can do here. Mike raises a hand before Ver, palm facing the prisoner. This is why your kind are maddening. Your true leader are behind bars. My bars. Your colleague is lying to your people and vowing to do the right thing here, spewing threats at us along the way, and meanwhile, he was there when you lost. Here you are telling me you can do nothing when you can tell your people the truth. I won't help you. Then help your people. Not if it means helping you, General. I won't turn against my people, Ver says, his chin in the air. Mike scratches his head and turns, stepping into the elevator. Trake gets in with Mike and Ver, which causes the elevator to be somewhat cramped. Mike actually whistles pleasantly as the elevator heads upward. He's aware this is aggravating to Ver, so he does it with a smile on his face. The doors then opened, and they're on the prison level. I will not be held here, Ver says as he sees the steel cells that line the entire level. No Altilian will stand for these conditions. You have a lot of catching up to do, Mike says, pointing towards the cell at the end of the row. He leads Ver to the second last cell and opens the door. The Altilian in the last cell then looks up from his seat in the corner and sees Ver there. Ver? Gora? Mike winks at them both. See, I knew you two would remember each other. You guys get all caught up on Sibel running the planet. Let me know what decision you've come to. Keep in mind, he'll likely be willing to kill both of you to preserve his place on Altil. Talk to you kids later, he says, and he starts whistling again while leading Trake back to the elevator. Nicely done, Trake says, patting Mike on the back. I know what I'm doing, Mike says as they leave the prison level. Chapter 13. Talia hasn't had a lot to say since watching Cale Rightly die. She's nervous as there's no way to tell whether or not he was the only infected person on their world. She sits at her desk in an office she rarely uses. It's a hidden room within her home, as she isn't sure who she can trust right now. If Cale was sent to take her out, it's likely any other time bombs might be sent to do the same. The office was as close to a panic room as her home got. The walls were blast-proof to a large degree. Certainly a human bomb would have little chance of damaging anything on this side of the door. There was only the one door in or out, and once that was locked, there was no way to gain entry without some serious tools to do the job. This room had been installed in her home over a century ago and hadn't been used as a panic room until this moment. It's the kind of thing Talia hated being a part of. It had to be a first in the universe. Two leaders meeting by video chat across the stars, both of them being women. Allison Hannon's image appears on Talia's screen, and she's somehow comforted to see a woman's face on the other side. Miss Hannon, I presume. Miss Laris, good to hear from you. I heard you've been hit with the same mixture that killed so many here, Allison says with a frown. Yes, our people are apparently just as vulnerable as yours. I approach you due to word that you have a cure in your hands. They provided us with an apparent cure. Our own science team within the capital found a few from Arcology 1237 who were infected and hadn't yet shown outright symptoms of extreme hostility. Before and after tests would seem to prove that this cure is a real thing. Apparently, Gora was trying to lull us into a false sense of security. Tully is glad to hear that said by someone else for a change. Indeed, he's good at that. Mike Translow has both he and Ver in custody. They'd be dead if they didn't serve a purpose for us. I can assure you we will deal with this and will extend an offer for any help we can towards you. Allison's face brightens with that offer. Their warship had some form of self-destruct which has decimated a large area of land. We fear millions have died, and we need help with the cleanup efforts. I understand you're able to travel via wormholes. I don't pretend to know how any of those work. I'm not a scientist, but can you help? I'm sending an armada to your world, and they'll help with the cleanup. I'm also commissioning the creation of a fleet that will be a match for whatever the enemy sends our way. It's a tricky proposition, though. By law, I am to rule by what the people want. I fear a majority of my people will vote down a war and will desire peace at all costs. That's what Altel's been banking on all along, and they've been right up until this point. But if they see what Altel did to my people, won't that sway them, Allison asks. Talia pauses as she considers lying to her new ally. If she admits how little her people tend to care for those they don't know, it could leave Earth doubting her and anyone within their ranks who isn't Mike Translow. Miss Hannon, my people are good people. They seek peace. They heard about things happening with Earth's arcologies, and I was told to stay out of it. They feared that exposure to a virus could lead to our world, or that us could spread to our world, or that us moving to your world could be seen as a sign of aggression by Altel. They protect themselves, and I fear they have done this in such a manner that they have actually put us in grave danger. Meaning this won't sway them then? Allison asks, and her face disappears from the screen. Instead, Talia sees images of the destruction in and around Los Angeles as a result of the Altelian warship self-destructing. There are dead bodies visible and rescue workers and civilians working feverishly to save as many people as they can. This is what all of Earth sees right now. This image is a rallying cry. Talia lets out a long breath. Images of horror like this always get to her. Falteri's is so beautiful and perfect. The idea that anything like this could happen to her world is almost too much for her to bear. My people will have to accept that we're at war now. I may be in grave danger with proceeding on to war like this, though, Miss Hannon. Falteri's has not always been united, and there are still times where those cracks show. Real leaders lead, Miss Laris. Allison says as the horrific images cease, and we again see Allison on the screen. If you do not lead, you've never been their leader. That makes you a puppet. Next scene. Gora sits in a cell and stares at Ver. They have not said a word since Mike left. Gora knows there's a game being played here, and he doesn't want to be a part of it. That said, he also knows Mike is likely right about things. Sibel will likely kill either he or Ver now to preserve his place as leader of Altel. What now? Ver asks in their native tongue. He knows they're likely on camera, and a translator is certain to be taking note of what's being said. He just can't handle being caged like an animal on an enemy ship. We wait, Gora answers. We have failed, and now we wait. Ver shakes his head. The self-destruct worked very well. Created chaos on Earth. It sends a strong message that our people are not to be messed with. Earth will be frightened. Gora looks up, and then he slowly gets to his feet, makes his way to the bars that separate his cell from Ver's. No. You see, there's more to it than that, and you know it. Sibel is taking credit now. Sibel's giving orders, and that man's an idiot. Agreed, but Mike Translow certainly won't be offering up his services to us. He's not going to give us our freedom and let us take our rightful place on our world. My rightful place, you mean? But of course, what else would I mean? Gora thinks he's onto something here. Ver seems nervous. See, I'm the leader of Altel, and you would only be the leader if I was dead, or presumed dead. Sibel's taking my place because he's painting me as an ineffective leader. That's not something you would ever do, right? I would not challenge your place as leader of our people. Ver lies. He's been hoping to become the new leader of Altel for years, and in this moment he feels very alone and exposed. He wonders if this was Mike's plan by putting them here together. Ver looks at Gora, and then he also gets to his feet. He has to go to him, meet his stare, and prove that he isn't as ambitious as he actually is. Look, they caged us here to turn us against each other. Maybe they know something I don't then. Maybe I should have a chat with Translow about things. It would appear that my own allies, my own kind, may not have my best interests at heart. What good is it to rule the universe if someone else is going to take my place and take credit for my hard work? My father blazed the path, and I have followed, and he didn't do that for you. I never said he did, Gora. When my father passed on, Altilians worried that I might not be the leader my father was. I've worked very hard to be seen in the same light. Sibel has used my accomplishments and my self-destruct order to advance his position in light of recent events. He's lied about his place in all of this, you know. He stated he was not on Earth, and he watched what happened to us. I need to know that you're my ally here first, Ver. My word is my bond, Ver says with a bow. Certainly it used to be. I remember a time when we were all united, and there was no one who could challenge us, much less defeat us. I must get my position back on Altil, and then resume my work on exterminating the race that taxes me at every turn. Earth has become a far larger issue than it needed to be. Sibel's failure on Arcology 1237 brought us to this point. His failure to maintain secrecy has made us vulnerable and caused us to lose twice now. Ver smirks. I'd call the most recent exchange as a saw-off after the explosion rocked a large portion of their planet. The death toll's likely in the millions, Gora. This was a first exchange of what will be a string of humiliating defeats for them. Gora lowers his head and suppresses rage as well as he can. Those defeats cannot be at the hand of Sibel. If he manages to defeat them without my help, I might as well kill myself now. If I'm not the leader, why should I continue to live? My legacy would be one that shames the memory of my father. I cannot allow that to happen. Next short scene. John watches as the little girl and her mother are flown away by a rescue craft which arrived on the scene after he did all the hard work. He then looks around the rubble which stretches to the horizon. He wipes sweat from his brow as his brothers stand next to him. I can't believe this has happened. We're against a merciless foe, John, Jim says as he places a hand on John's shoulder. What do we do now, Rob asks. John looks skyward. There's a lot of ways this could go, but we're meant to play a large role in whatever happens from here. We have been a part of this entire mess, so we have to be leaders at a time when Earth needs us. I'm a part of Division 1237, but there'll be more arcologies adapted for war use. That's where we belong. Rob nods. I always figured I'd end up in Special Ops. Never figured it would be like this. We have something to fight now, with Mom gone. We can't let her passing be for nothing. Come on, we have recovery work to do, John says as he heads back to the shuttle. His brothers do the same, and the four of them take off and set to the daunting task at hand. They're just four among the thousands who are venturing out from Los Angeles into the wasteland in search of survivors. Now we go to the next scene. It's been a rough day for Addison as he sits among the rubble and looks around at the carnage. This all brings back memories for him that have been haunting him since he left New York. He doesn't enjoy thinking about his lost family while doing this work. He wants to focus all of his attention on survivors and getting them the help they require. It's just so hard to do that and not think back. There's no fire here, but he can smell smoke. There was so much fire and smoke on Conley when his people were being wiped out. He had opted to leave, save himself, but now he's been thinking back and wondering what that decision has left him with. There's a hole in his heart, and it seems to grow with every passing moment out here. Normally, the California sun's considered a blessing, but Addison sees that hot sun as causing issues out here as people run out of energy with the heat, and he knows people inside the rubble are not enjoying the intense and relentless heat any more than the rescuers are. Despite technology being advanced in many areas, there is little they can do to protect such a wide area. It's a race against the heat. Addison stands and heads back to the ship. He sits on the bottom step and then uses his t-shirt to wipe his forehead. He looks at his shuttle and looks towards the sky. His mind drifts to Trake and the conversation they had. Trake and his kind were gentle and remind him of the diversity his world contained and all that they've lost. There has long been a feeling in his mind that he was the sole survivor of the Conley attacks. It would appear that Falteris had come to the same conclusion when they journeyed there long after the last shot had been fired by the Altilians. They had tried to find life and concluded that it was a burned wreck of a planet not capable of sustaining life. Looking out of this rubble, it's hard to believe anyone could have survived. They're still pulling survivors out, though. Where the will lasts, life finds a way to survive. Beneath the rubble, people are holding on despite the odds being stacked against them. It's a steel and concrete version of the surface of his homeworld, the one forsaken and forgotten. The image of his wife flashes before Addison's eyes. He remembers her. Lisa Marks had been a stunning redhead, a woman who was tremendously independent and one who had always believed in the good forces in the universe being stronger than the bad. Lisa met Addison at a bar. They immediately became best friends, then lovers, and a married couple, all in a relationship which always felt natural to him. When he left Conley, he left his heart behind and he became a womanizer on Earth. He'd done things on this planet he knew deep down he never should have done. He has destroyed his very soul, if he in fact had one to begin with. He scarred himself inside, and he ran from things he needed to face. Earth is worse off for his silence now. Maybe this could have been prevented had he told the truth, even if it cost him his life along the way. This is a time for action. Addison's mind is flying as he attends to people out here, and he works as hard as he can to fix that which he can. His people on his homeworld have wanted it that way. Would have wanted it that way. He needs to make them proud and honor their memory with the things that he does here and now. He has to live up to the expectations of those around him, now that the truth about his lineage and his DNA have come to light. In the back of his mind, there are also thoughts about the Altilian prophecy. It had been known to him during negotiations at the start of their dealings with Conley, the idea that there would be one who could challenge their position in the universe. It was knowledge that they had allowed to slip when they believed Conley was no threat to them, and they also felt this prophecy was merely superstition with no truth to back it up. The DNA issue with John Webster, his biological son to a woman he'd never met before their recent meeting. The prophecy was no doubt at the forefront of Altilian minds everywhere. They had some old-fashioned superstitions which refused to die or listen to reason, and maybe Addison can use his position as the lone human of his planet that's left to his advantage. Just being out here and being one of the many trying to help is a start, but he knows he has to do more. His sons will undoubtedly do so much more, and he wants to make them proud by doing the same. It had never occurred to him that he would ever be a father. It was a dream he gave up once his planet had been reduced to ashes. He had always avoided becoming tied down to a woman on Earth, or had been fortunate enough never to get anybody pregnant that he knew of. It's another thought bothering his head as he works that out here. He finds life readings close to his landing spot, and he heads to the source of that signal and starts digging by hand. He hasn't been fortunate enough to have any tools that'll do this for him. It's old-fashioned elbow grease for him as he struggles against the clock and against the truth that not everyone alive out here will survive long enough to be dug out. This site will become a large graveyard. A man is saved by the outstretched arm of Addison. The man is in his early 40s, his face bloodied and bruised by falling debris, and his right leg appears to be broken, as it's bloodied and he can't put any weight on it. "You're my savior, sir," the man says, embracing Addison. "I'm just a man out here doing what all these other people are doing. Enough people have died this day, and we want to make sure anyone in this debris field survives," Addison says as he pulls his arm around the man's shoulder and supports his weight while taking him to his shuttle and sitting him down. "I have something for the pain," Addison says, and hands the man a pill. The man downs the pill and lets out a long sigh. He winces as the pill hits his stomach. "That has some kick to it. I guess I should have taken that with water. I have water in my bag here." "No, it's fine, really. The pain's already starting to fade. Can I know your name?" "Addison Marks," he says, while looking at the unforgiving sun and seeking more readings of life in the area. Just seems like a hopeless task here, that the victories will be outnumbered 10-1 by the failures. He just can't snap out of the downward spiral. "You're the guy from TV," the man says as his face brightens. You guys helped turn back those invaders." Addison manages a half smile. "Yeah, I guess, sure. Look around, though. We have a lot of work to do, and they managed to inflict a lot of damage. They won't get one by us again. We're strong. Mankind's been through hell for eons, and we're still standing. Those buggers won't win. They can't win. We'll stop them. They can't skulk about in secret like they've done in the past. We know they're coming. It's all going to be different with us than it was with your people." Addison turns and faces the man. "You know, you may have just saved my life." Next scene, which I'm thinking that's the last one. Yep. Last scene of the book. So we're finishing out Volume 2 tonight. So let that sink in. Sibel looks out at his minions. His people are applauding him even before the emergency session of their planetary senate. He is the leader now, and no one can stand in his way. He stands proudly and feels that this is his rightful place in the world. He has to make certain he gets to maintain this position for the rest of his life, as anything less would be death to him. This is the time to embrace ancient writings. This is the time for him to publicly proclaim that the one who could bring their people down is among the Earthlings. He has to maintain control, and fear is a great motivator. If the people are afraid of what might happen should he not be their leader, they are less likely to ask questions. Gora failed in so many ways, and that's why he's either dead or a prisoner of war. He's been given his job by virtue of being Geyer's son, not by being a good leader. Now that he's gone, they can truly get back to the ways that made them the most powerful in the galaxy. Gora had been fine with their place in the galaxy, and not with speeding up the extermination of anything that could get in their way. The ancient writings were nonsense, and Sibel knew this. He had seen Addison marks, and he was certain that he was just a normal man who had managed to survive the slaughter on Conley. There was nothing special about him, and that explained why John Webster's DNA had been different. It was something he really should have figured out himself. A majority of the civilian population believed that Addison was the one prophesied years ago who could destroy their people. This was a belief Sibel had to exploit. So his first act as leader was to call upon religious leaders to act as a counsel to him on how to proceed with war and their eventual conquering of Earth and Fultares. Sibel could use this belief as a fuel for the ongoing war and the other things he was going to have to do. The shame of being a prisoner of war had been his before the second failure at Earth, a failure captured live on video as well. That left Gora appearing weak and foolish to his people and set Sibel up nicely as the rightful leader of his people. He had to avoid anyone finding out he had actually been there, and that was part of the reason he was already hiring new people to surround himself with. Anyone who went against his claims could be killed for treason, especially if they'd recently lost their jobs and merely appeared bitter when they made their claims. It was the right of any great leader to kill in the name of doing the right thing. As the leader of all till now, what was right for him was also right for his people. He was determined to stake his place in history, and soon his merciless forces will be taking down the merciful enemy. It's not a battle of good versus evil, it's a battle of strong against the weak. Sibel has no intention of being the weak. Once he has soaked up enough of his people's adulation, he enters the Senate chamber and smiles. I am finally here, he says to himself. I am assuming my rightful place as leader, as ruler, and I will get my revenge, he says while making his way past bowing minions within the Senate. He is home.
Dun, dun, dun.
And there you go. Book 2 is done. So, 2/3 of the way through the trilogy. Sibel's the leader. Mike's the leader. Everybody's in place for the big finale where somebody, unbeknownst to everybody, ends up throwing a large Molotov cocktail right into the mix. Blows everything up. Starting with the first scene in the third book. Kate, you would think that I never wear anything that's not a jersey by how you're reacting.
It's been a really, really long time.
We were in Vegas like 6 months ago? Wasn't it like...
It was way more than 6 months.
It's last summer,
years
August.
And years.
It's last August.
This is a whole nother lifetime.
It feels like a whole other lifetime.
Around people.
I just wish people had told me how fat my neck was.
Do you? Yeah, that'd make you feel
Sure.
really good. Wow, Shannon, your neck is really fat for that shirt.
It is nice to see that I've lost weight since Vegas. Apparently, mostly in my neck.
No.
So, the shirt fits pretty much the same as it did. It's pretty darn close. And I think one thing that's offset it is that I have built a lot of muscle. So,
Yeah.
that's...
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's enough.
Hi.
Just relax.
You're cute.
Kate, we're married.
I know, right?
This isn't like a dating situation. We've been married for a long time.
If we were dating, this would be totally different.
Kate, can you not? Seriously.
So cute.
I don't... If you say so.
I do say so.
I guess I don't know what your deal is, but all right. So all I need is a pair of dress pants that fit to go with this, because the dress pants from Vegas don't fit anymore.
Are they way too big?
Yeah, they're too big. So, because it's more around here that I lost.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so yeah, because it's not like I had like a big chest to begin with, so I didn't really need to lose anything there. But apparently my neck
Right.
did.
I know, you lose weight in weird places.
It is bizarre. You can really see it in my face. So
It's like me, I could see it in my wrists. That's so weird. Look at how tiny my wrists are now.
yeah,
I
same as
have
mine.
Tiny bony wrists now.
Yeah, everybody has that.
No. It's not an everybody. No.
Okay, well now you do too.
It's weird.
Yeah, well there you go.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you though.
These tiny bony wrists are weird. The bony feet are weird.
Proud of you.
Uh-huh.
I am.
Hi.
Hi. Okay.
Hey.
All right, so we're all done.
Cute.
We're all done volume 2, and I'll get volume 3 started probably in a few months. Cuz you're good, right? You're all good. You're all
Yeah,
set.
I'm good.
All right, that's okay, enough. All right. Anyways, thank you guys for watching and for your continued support and patronage of these videos. And happy May. It's May now.
Apparently.
Calendar keeps chugging along. I assume every day is another day. It's like the War of 1812. It's not going anywhere. It's not like the calendar's advancing. So, you know. Oh well, what are you gonna do about the War of 1812?
Stork.
Anyways, I guess this could be the War of 1812 take 2. I guess, right? Sure it can. Thanks again. Now I have to do my treadmill and get my nightly steps in, and yeah. So there you go. All right, can you just relax. You would think you haven't seen me in years.
I know. Right.
Okay, you just relax. Okay, just relax. We're married,
I know.
so you
Aren't
can just
glad?
take about
It'd
20%.
be really awkward if we weren't.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's aggravating. You just, anyways.
Why are you aggravated?
Just, guys gotta just, it's like guys are very not physical. We're more of the emotional creatures. And women, it's just always physical with women. It's so,
Yeah, that's a thing.
there's the emotional needs that I have as a male. And you just have this whole physical. And I just find it.
Right. Uh-huh. That's
I
how
just
this
find
works.
it's hard. It makes it
I'm
really
sure.
difficult because
You have a rough life.
it's a hard knock life, and I experience that every day where I need my emotional needs fulfilled, and you're just all like
Such a
on the
dork.
physical front. See, and then you're mean too, and then that's where you get mean.
See, somebody might think you're serious when all of that's a bunch of crap.
See, and then you say my feelings are a bunch of crap. So.
Oh, Shannon. Oh, you're such a brat.
I'm all. I just need a minute. All right. Thank you guys for all your support. I'll deal with this, and
You're such a dork.
I'll talk to you guys again soon.